Okay, hopefully now you've taken the time to develop your own typeface palette and you've got that all ready to go and you're ready to watch my solution video. First and foremost, let's jump over into my document and you can see exactly what choices I made for my typeface palette. So I've chosen 3 different typefaces here, 2 of which are in the same family. And so here we have the heading font, which is Lexia Black. And then the subheading font, I've chosen Lexia Light. And then for the body, I selected an interesting font called Iskra or Iskra. I'm not real sure how to say it quite right, but it's an interesting font nonetheless. So how did I come about choosing these 3 and where did I go to find them and get them on my computer? Because obviously these don't ship with a regular computer. So here are my reasons for choosing them and we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and take a look at how I got them on my computer. So I went over to typekit.com and I logged in using my Adobe Creative Cloud ID. And what I did, I went ahead over here on the right and I started off with a desktop use search. And that's just going to filter out everything that's not on web use only. And then when I did that, I went ahead and chose a slab serif filter up here at the top. So that way I only see slab serifs. I then went down here to the bottom and I was thinking to myself, okay, I want something big and bold for this heading. So let's go ahead and grab a thick weight. Something like this. And when I did that, I noticed that there were only a few choices that came up. And I started looking through them and I noticed Lexia. Instead of clicking on it and automatically syncing it to my desktop, here's what I did. See this little heart icon? When I click on that, that is going to favorite that font. And I'll show you what that's going to do for me in just a minute. Then I went ahead and I chose the body copy next because what I'm thinking is this one may need to be used for both headings because I may want to keep both of those in the same style. So I went ahead and looked for the body next. So what I did was I changed slab serif to just a regular old sans serif. And then I wanted to make sure it had good contrast, so I chose a weight that was very light, and I also chose a width in the middle. I don't want a wide font, I don't want a narrow font, but I do want a really thin, sort of middle-of-the-road font. And then as I was looking through here, I looked at this right here, and Iskra is the one that jumped out at me and just said, you know what, I like that. I like the form on the G and the curvature on the A. I really like that. So what I'm going to do is just favorite that one as well. And so when I favorited those, here's what I did next. I scrolled up to the top and I chose my favorites. So now I can actually see these 2 side by side and I can see, okay, now I like the curve on this. It doesn't look like a serif at all. This one has nice big blocky serifs. I like that. So those contrast each other really nicely. And so let's go ahead now and let's take a look at what each one of them looks at individually. This is my next thing that I do. So I open these up individually so that I can look at them. So I look at Lexia first. And so this shows me all the weights and styles. And so I went through and I don't want any of the thin weights. I scrolled all the way down and then I saw that it does have what's called a black style. And so the black just means it's the heaviest. So it goes something like regular, medium, bold, extra bold, black is usually the scale that it goes with. And so I like this a lot. And so immediately I was like, that's the one that I want. So in order to get it on my computer, it was very easy. I just clicked Use Font, made sure I clicked on the desktop, and I've already got it synced, so I'm not going to sync it again. But I made sure I showed all fonts first, and then I made sure I checked the black option right here, and then I synced it to my Creative Cloud desktop as I showed you how to do earlier. Then I jumped over here, and I'm looking at this typeface, and I'm looking through it, and I like the ultra thin. I also like the light. And so as I get down here, I don't really need any of the bold ones, so I'm just looking mainly up here, and I think this is going to work really well. When I really got sold, though, is when I clicked right here on Specimens, and that's when I got to see it actually in play as a body copy typeface, and it worked out really well. And you can also see the scale of what it looks like at all these different sizes right here, too. So immediately, I was hooked, good to go, use the font. So I synced that up after I made sure that I included the ultra thin and the thin. And then once I did that, I was ready to choose my subheading. And that's sort of always a tricky one for me. But remember earlier, I said that I like the style of that Lexia font. So let's go back to that for a second. Let's go back to there. And once we get into there, I'll just click favorites and I'll look at Lexia again. I took a look at just the regular Lexia and the light. And so light, that's actually pretty thin. as compared to the black down here. So that's going to work out really nicely, I think. Keeps them in the same family, which follows one of my little exploratory methods, and also has nice contrast. So that's good. So then I just went in and I synced the thin version of that. Now, fast forward a bit, and let's jump back over into my document. I'll get this in full screen so you can actually see it. So here we go. We've got my heading, Lexia Black, subheading, Lexia Light, and then we have the body, which is Iskra Thin. And so my reasons for choosing include right here the heading. It's a slab serif with a black weight, which makes it perfect for big, bold headlines, which it is. And then the subheading, I chose Lexia Regular for the subheading. And actually, I need to change that because it's not Lexia Regular. It's actually Lexia Light. I'll reflect that in your exercise files. Don't worry about that. And it contrasted really nicely with the black weighted counterpart, making it a lot easier for me not to have to find a different typeface altogether. And then the body, I think it makes really good body copy because it's a little playful. It's got some curves on the letters, and it contrasts nicely with the big, bulky typeface that we use for the headings. And then down here at the bottom, I created myself a little example of what it might look like in a layout. So here's the big heading. Here's the little subheading, which flows nicely there. And then the readability of the body copy is really good as well. Now, you'll notice in the body copy that when you look at it, it looks like it's got a little bit more space. That's because I adjusted the leading to be about 1.4. I thought it needed a little extra space to make it absolutely readable. So those are the kind of choices that you're going to have to make as you start to think about typefaces and pairing them together in your designs. Hopefully this exercise was helpful for you and helped you get sort of this thought process going and also get some ideas out of your head so that you can start putting this in play in your own designs. And hopefully now you get a better understanding of what I go through mentally when I'm trying to decide on typefaces as well. It can be a really long, drawn-out process, but in the end, doing your due diligence and making sure you get everything just right is very, very important.